You don't want to ask questions at work so you don't seem stupid. You make a mistake and you're too scared to ask someone for help. And you just in general feel like everyone around you is better at their job. Don't worry, you're not alone with this. We all feel stupid and incapable sometimes. Now, in this video, I'll share 5 simple ways to build your confidence at work, even if you're feeling stupid. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and now let's get started. Let me just start off by saying that everyone I ever worked with, myself, my friends, my family, no matter how well educated you are or how many years of experience you have, we all come to a point in our job or our career where we just feel stupid and incompetent. And then often what happens is that a negative self-talk spiral starts. You feel dumb, which makes you feel insecure about your work, which causes you anxiety. The anxiety causes you to make mistakes in your job, and those mistakes actually make you feel even more dumb. So you can tell this is kind of a vicious cycle. The first and probably most important way to build confidence at work is to ask questions. For a lot of time in my career, I kind of avoided asking questions because I didn't want to come across as stupid, and I didn't want to come across as if I didn't get it the first time around. But not understanding something the first time around usually doesn't have anything to do with intelligence, but it has a lot to do with it being not explained to you clearly. So for example, the person that is explaining something to you might assume that you have background knowledge that you don't have yet, or they might actually try and explain it in a more complicated way, just so they come across as more intelligent. And I'm definitely guilty of that also myself. I remember working in banking and working on a really complex reporting methodology for our annual report. And I'm going up to my manager to explain to him what methodology I came up with. And he was just like, hang on, I don't understand it. And that's not because he's not an intelligent person, but that's just because I didn't explain it to him in a simple enough way that he could understand it the first time around. So really, that's on me. So remind yourself, not understanding something the first time around doesn't mean you're dumb. It can just mean that it's not being explained to you well. Another situation was when I was hanging out with friends, and one of us is a native English speaker, and he was telling a story. And we all laughed, and then there was a short break, and then one of my friends, she was like, wait a minute, I didn't understand what you just said. I just laughed because everyone laughed, but what did you actually say? And then another friend also spoke up and she was like, oh, I'm so glad you said that. I also don't think I understood the joke. So just remind yourself that sometimes speaking up, chances are that you're not the only one who didn't get it, and you might actually help others along the way as well. A second great way to build confidence at work is to ask for help. Now, this one is hard for me personally, and maybe for you too. I always wanted to be able to do everything by myself, be very independent, and I kind of told myself that if I wasn't able to do something by myself, that's just proof that I'm not good enough or that I'm not capable enough. But in reality, being able to ask for help is such an underrated skill and can be a complete game changer. No one achieves anything completely on their own. Think of any successful person, an entrepreneur, an athlete, creative. They all have a team or a mentor or some sort of support surrounding them and helping them to get where they are today. And keep in mind that people genuinely love being asked for help. Think of a time when someone asks you for help. Do you then go ahead and say like, oh my God, this person is so stupid for asking me that? No, you feel good about yourself. You feel valued. You feel useful. And also your workplace is full of resources with other people's knowledge and experience. The only stupid thing here is to not take advantage of these resources and to not ask for help. When I worked in consulting, I had this one colleague who was really good at his job and everyone was kind of looking up to him, and he was changing jobs. So he left the company and he had a farewell. And he ended up sitting next to me. We were talking about how he was kind of sad that I didn't approach him more often and ask for help. And I kind of told him what I just told you, that sometimes I feel like if I can't do it by myself, then I'm just not good enough at it and I should probably not be doing it. So I'm just trying to solve it by myself. And he gave me the same advice. He was like, I would have been happy if you approached me and asked me for help, and also would have strengthened our relationship and our networking in that sense. So yeah. Definitely keep that in mind. Asking other people for help, and especially asking your colleagues for help, will only benefit you. A third great way to start building more confidence at work is to start positive self-talk. Confidence is not something that you're necessarily born with. It's not something that you have or you don't have. It's actually something that you can build over time. And yes, people always say, just believe in yourself. But that's honestly not so helpful when you're feeling dumb, right? So let's get into some more practical tips. Now, positive self-talk might seem a bit out there for some of you, a little bit woo-woo, but what you tell yourself really matters, because what you tell yourself is what becomes your reality. So start by catching your negative thoughts. When you catch yourself thinking, I'm so bad at this, or everyone else gets it but me, Try and reframe it in a more realistic way. Something like, I'm still learning, and that's okay. I don't understand this yet. I've figured things out before. I can do it again. You don't have to hype yourself up and tell yourself that you're the best person who's ever done this job. Just try and be fair to yourself, because over time, this will really help in building your confidence. Now, the next tip is don't take it personal. Now, another really important thing is that you don't take everything someone says to you super personally. Just keep in mind that feedback comes from humans, and humans are subjective in nature. We all have different personalities, stress levels, communication styles, trigger points, and so on. So when someone gives you negative feedback, remind yourself that you're allowed to filter it. Take on parts of the feedback that you see truth in and that you kind of agree with, but also feel free to reject those parts that kind of feel exaggerated, unfair, or just inaccurate. Now, in one of the positions I worked in, I had a feedback conversation with my boss, and he gave me really good feedback and only minor, but really constructive criticism. And then after a while, I had a change in boss, and my new boss, I had a conversation with him, also like a feedback talk, I think half a year later. And he then told me that basically he sees my personality in like a different light, and he thinks I'm only good at this, but I'm really lacking in this and this area. And I just was kind of like, honestly, I don't take on parts of that feedback that you've just given me. I was thinking that to myself. I was not saying that to him, because I know that him, for example, he doesn't seem to have a very good judge of character. He's hired loads of other people in the past that have left the company after a couple of months because they were just not a good fit at all. So I was like, I don't trust your judge of character. So I don't take on the feedback that you give me regarding my character. I will take on parts of your feedback that I see truth and value in, but other parts I will just let go. Now, last up is track small wins. This one is simple but powerful. Instead of constantly thinking about what you're doing wrong, try and shift your focus to what you're doing well. Each day, at the end of the day, for example, write down one thing that you think you did really well today. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. It can just be something like, today I asked a really good question, I finished a task on time, I handled a difficult conversation better than before. And don't just think about it, actually write it down. For example, on a note on your phone, because that will materialize it even more. And then when you feel dumb again, which you will, which we all will from time to time, then you can go back and look at that list and will give you a boost in confidence again. Because also keep in mind that our brains naturally focus on the negatives and brush over small successes. So this is kind of a way to balance it out. I hope this helps a bit with building your confidence and feeling less stupid at work, because remember, we all feel stupid from time to time, and what matters then is that you have certain tools up your sleeves that you can just go back to remind yourself that you're actually smart and capable when these kinds of situations come up. Now drop a comment below if this resonated with you, and I'll see you in the next video.